Hey guys, it's Jared here from Rocket Chainsaw, and I'm here today to talk to you about Battlefield 4. Specifically, I want to talk about China Rising, which is the first of 5, I think it is, expansion packs hitting the systems. On Xbox One, you've got an extra one as part of Microsoft's exclusivity bonus. But if you're on any other system, you will be playing China Rising before any of the others. You would have been able to play it for the last, I think it's a little less than a week if you've got Premium as part of the Early Access bonus plan. But for everybody else, it's available officially today, I think. And yeah, it offers an assortment of new maps and weapons, and I've been playing it for the last few days as part of the premium bonus, and I've had a lot of experience now with the 4 maps that are available, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on each of the 4 maps, how they feel to me. I don't want to go into like the weapons and the gadgets because I haven't unlocked all of that kind of stuff, and I'm probably not experienced with the system. Maybe Anthony can do a bit of a video on how he's felt the new weapons perform, but the maps definitely give a good idea of, you know, the kind of new playstyles you'll be able to provide in China Rising. So yeah, here's my thoughts on the 4 new maps. So China Rising comes with 4 maps. That's Altai Range, Dragon Pass, Guilin Peaks, and Silk Road. And each of these maps offers a pretty distinct different style of play depending on the kind of player you are and what class you like to roll as. You're probably going to gravitate to one map more than the other. For me, Silk Road was definitely the one that I think sits at the top as my favorite. At first, looking at it, because it's such a sparse desert map, I thought there's no way that infantry is going to be able to function on this map. Vehicles are going to dominate, but that's not entirely true. It's actually pretty well laid out. The topography is interesting enough that no vehicle has total control and domination over the map. Same goes for aircraft. I thought maybe, given how open it is, aircraft would just be able to hover around like choppers and just take out everything. But there always seems to be a bit of pressure on every single play class to play carefully. Even with the tanks with such long viewing range, you can't put yourself out in the open too easily because you'll get hit by other tanks on the other side of the map or engineers laying the fire down. Infantry can... Getting from A to B, you're probably going to need to jump in a bike or a vehicle. This is not the kind of map where you can freely move around as infantry as well as some other maps, but there's still enough freedom that you can get from A to B on, say, a dirt bike or something like that, and not feel too much pressure that you're going to get shot. Depending on the capture points, some are definitely a little bit more difficult to take as infantry only, but this is a map that, to me, epitomizes that Battlefield 4 balance of having almost every kind of vehicle and a vehicle type and aircraft in the map alongside infantry, and everybody plays a role. Everybody can do something without being too dominated by one, so this is definitely my favorite map of the lot. My second favourite of the 4 maps would be Guilin Peaks, and this map would not be out of place in Battlefield 3's Close Quarters map pack, which is odd, considering so many people gave that map pack shit for pandering too much to the Call of Duty audience. I quite like that map pack, to be honest. I know taking vehicles out of Battlefield is blasphemy, and I'll always choose, vehicle maps over infantry only, but I found that that map pack did a decent job of balancing each individual infantry role and, played to the infantry strength. This is very similar in that infantry will dominate this map almost exclusively. You do have some vehicles like the Little Bird and very fast mobility vehicles, so things like the quad bike and the dirt bike to move from A to B to C, that do break up the pacing a little bit, but the best part of Guilin Peaks is that the layout and the topography is surprisingly varied. You've got a bit of a cave and a cave system and, gigantic canyon walls. But the main thing is that each field of play is quite large and hilly. So you don't have that typical close quarters infantry bottleneck situation. I mean, we've all experienced this on Metro and Operation Locker, where you have hordes of infantry piling through these narrow little hallways. Everyone's getting completely decimated. It's absolutely awful unless you're into that kind of thing. This map manages to avoid all of that stuff by giving you a wider play space, and even though it is infantry focused, it has this weird kind of, they're coming out of the trees, they're coming out of the bushes style, as you're trekking through a bit of a jungle and, enemies will pile over a hill to your left, or maybe, from a little valley to your right. It's quite small, but it feels surprisingly large even with 64 players, and the momentum of moving from capture point to capture point, thanks to the wider play space and the openness of the map, allows you to avoid a lot of little conflicts. You can go around the back, you can hop on a quad bike and speed around a little back alley to get to a capture point that maybe people didn't notice, maybe people are leaving unprotected. It flows surprisingly well. If you're not into the infantry only thing, I don't think you'll like it very much, but it works surprisingly well as an infantry only map. Third on my list is Altai Range, and this is a map that for some reason or another doesn't appear very often in the servers I play on. There's not a lot of China Rising servers at the moment, but they are there, and when map votes come up or when the map randomizes to a different stage, Altai Range seems to come up very rarely. I'm not sure if that's because people don't like it or just bad luck. Either way, it plays pretty well. It's got a lot of topography variation, so you've got a lot of mountainous ranges and mountainous ridges, and this gives vehicles a very strong role in this map, especially since a lot of the vehicles are armored personal carriers, you know, anti-personal vehicles, and tanks will completely dominate most of the capture points. This might seem a little bit annoying, but the way the map is laid out means vehicles can't just kind of plonk themselves down and completely dominate everything. A lot of the little ridges don't allow for a lot of mobility, so vehicles have to be very careful about how they position themselves, otherwise they may get pressured by engineers or aircraft or other vehicles as well. The center point of the map at the top of the mountain is this, I don't know, like an observation point or something like that, and that allows for a lot more infantry play than any other area in the map. So if you're an infantry-heavy player, you might find this map a little bit annoying, but the way that the topography is laid out does prevent vehicles from congregating too much at one point. It sort of feels like this major hill in the center is this focal point, therefore, you know, if a battle going on with vehicles on one side of the hill won't directly influence a battle on the other side of the hill. It kind of breaks up the flow a bit in a good way for vehicles, but definitely a vehicle dominating map.
Hostile UAV overhead. We have just taken it.
And of the four maps, unfortunately, my least favorite is Dragon Pass. This is a map I really wanted to like because looking at the layout, it looks pretty interesting. You've got a river, you've got various roads, you've got what looks to be decent topography, and you got a massive assortment of equipment and vehicles. This is the kind of map I thought might personify that love I have for Battlefield, where you have various tanks and infantry and aircraft combat going on all over the map, and nobody seems to be dominating each other. Kind of like Silk Road. Unfortunately, Dragon Pass, for me, is the exact opposite. This, to me, is a map where infantry plays such a small role that it's almost tedious. It's just way too flat. The topography is not very mountainous, and the view range is far too large that vehicles completely dominate any open area, which is a vast majority of the map. In addition to this, a majority of the map is devoid of much cover, so if you're an infantry unit, you can find yourself sprinting over a long area of terrain with absolutely nothing to hide behind, no cover, and it's very flat, so you can be shot from a mile away either by a sniper or by vehicles. I found most of these particular map tends to devolve into a lot of really shitty sniper battles and vehicle domination, and it just doesn't flow very well. Aircraft 2 has this massive dominance of the air, and I was really hoping this would flow really well. Like, I thought the river might break things up in an interesting way, but nobody seems to bother to use it. Probably because the map is so damn flat that if you get into the river, you're going to be hit by tanks and anti-infantry units anyway, or aircraft. There's nowhere to hide, and it's really hard to put pressure on anybody who isn't infantry. This gets more complicated when you have various bridges over the river. These work against the map as they tend to act as like these little bottlenecks to get from A to B to C. Again, this completely screws over infantry because if anything's going to be at the bottleneck, what's it going to be? It's going to be vehicles. They're the ones trying to get over these bridges and make their way to various capture points. Again, if you're infantry, you're going to have to try and swim under the river or grab a jet ski, and even then you're just going to be completely decimated by any tanks or anti-aircraft, anti-infantry vehicles on the shoreline. This is a map that does not flow very well at all, in my opinion, and I don't have a lot of fun with it. This is the kind of map I enjoy skipping.
Spotted a hostile soldier. LAV spotted.
So there you have it, the four maps of Battlefield 4 China Rising, in order of my most favourite to least favourite, being Silk Road, Guilin Peaks, or Guilin Peaks, however it's pronounced, Altai Range, and then Dragon Pass. I'm not going to get into the weapons and that kind of thing, but the maps are actually pretty cool by and large. Again, I'm not hot on Dragon Pass, I probably won't play that much, but the other three work well enough, and as an expansion pack to expand the the map offerings of Battlefield 4, which, as I noted in mine and Anthony's review, I actually quite like. These will enter my average play roster. Silk Road probably more than any of the others. I really think that's a well-flowing map, and when I want to break from the kind of traditional battlefield, Guilin Peaks really balances that infantry combat surprisingly well. So yeah, I don't know if I could recommend it to anybody who's not a premium subscriber. I kind of feel that if you're buying the Battlefield 4 expansion packs, you're probably going to go premium anyway, because you get everything. But as a first expansion pack for anybody on PC and PS4, I think this is a pretty good effort. The map selection is pretty damn good. So yeah, if anybody's out there playing, hit me up. I'm Consume Progeny on Battlelog. EA wouldn't let me use my regular name, Eat Children, for various reasons. But yeah, Consume Progeny. I play in Australia, obviously, so hit me up and we'll have a few games. Oh, and of course, for more news, reviews, features, videos, stuff just like this, hit up www.rocketchainsaw.com.au. We've got a ton of stuff coming up. And be sure to subscribe to our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube profiles for immediate updates. You know you want to. See ya!